It's no secret that X lags behind the rest of TEPPEN's cast. That's because of weaker hero arts and the slow nature of green cards in general. We'll save the discussion about green for another time, but despite his shortcomings, people still love and play X. That's why I set out to make something viable. Now, green and purple decks are pretty popular with X players, but they simply can't compete with top tier decks, and that's why I wanted to try something a little different. So here's what I came up with: a red and green Explore deck. Many of these cards will be familiar if you watched my Jill antibody activation video. The idea is to hit 3 Explores quickly to really let Nash shine. Explorables help keep your other units around, forming a wall that's tough to climb, and if you can get ahead early, you'll widen the gap in the mid to late game. The hero art is Heart Tank. It's 17 AP to give one unit 7 more health. This pairs well with many red removal cards like a Noble Death and Mutual Destruction. Units with bigger health pools also make it more difficult for Ryu to remove, and for Morrigan to put units in range of being stolen by 4 Eyes. It won't save you from Wesker's destruction cards, but high health units trade well with Bevel Joe and the Tyrants that most Weskers typically run. A warning before we get into the matches: while this deck is certainly capable, it is not as strong as other options in the meta right now, so if you're going to play it, prepare yourself for a challenge. Ryu is a little tricky because you need to really pull ahead of him in the early game to survive in the mid to the late game. And high health units definitely help you do that, but if he gets advantage and gets really optimal trades early on, it's tough. So we're going to throw Guile out there because Guile is great. He's got a decent health pool for his cost, and Detonation is a great explorable. He throws out Agnator to try and trade here. We're actually going to throw out Mutual Destruction to clear the board. Because it's not really going to cost us anything. We want the detonation if he's going to give it to us. And more often than not, the average Ryu player is not going to have an action answer unless they are sitting on something big like Dragon Lord's Judgment. So we get detonation, the board is wiped, and he headshots, but that's okay. It's not really putting us in a bad spot yet. So we have 1 Explore down, we're looking for 2 more to go. We throw out Carlos, who is great value for his cost, and Shield is terrific. Even though we're already running some green shield. So out comes the Spread Shot, which is another one of the low cost options on action. We're actually going to shield just to nullify that. And normally Ryu runs more than 1 Spread Shot, but just for 1 creature, it's not really ideal for him to invest so many resources to try to get rid of it. So out comes the BB Hood, which is okay. And now we are 2 Explores down. So we've got these Guiles here. We get rid of 1 more Guile, and then Nash is at full potential. So out comes the second Spread Shot to soften up this Guile to die, and ultimately that's okay. So we're just going to kind of let things happen as they are. So Guile's going to go. We've got 3 Explore now, and 2 Detonations on deck, which is super helpful in terms of board clear. So now we have a couple of great options. We've actually drawn our shield unit, but we're just going to throw out 1 more Guile here. Now, unfortunately, we don't get a chance to Heart Tank to make him live, so we actually miss out on the detonation. But the board is now even, and we've hit that 3 Explore threshold. Plus, we have 2 Nashes, so it's not that bad. And Heart Tank is on deck. Now, we don't have to throw it out just yet because he doesn't have Shinku on deck. He doesn't have a lot of really easy options to get rid of it. So out comes Scar of Humiliation for some direct damage. Not even going to worry about it. And then out comes Dragon Lord's Judgment. And unfortunately, there's not really anything we can do here to save it, but that's really expensive for him to throw out to get rid of a Nash. So I guess we could have Heart Tanked to stop that from happening, but at the end of the day, it's okay. We've got another Nash. We've got other Explorables on deck. Have a pretty decent hand and Heart Tanks out there. So now that he throws out the Legiacrus to soften up Nash, we're going to use Heart Tank, which is going to put him up to 13, which is fantastic. So even when he gets into Shinku range, he's going to have to invest some more resources. So out comes True Faith. Not really sure why, but this is a great opportunity for us to throw down Detonation and just get this unit off the board. Just especially because we have more Explorables in our hand, and we can't really make use of them unless this is clear. So out comes the 3rd Spread Shot to soften up the Nash a little bit, but he is still not in Shinku range, so this is totally fine. Nash goes in, softens him up for a little bit of damage, and Nash is going to continue to do work. And we've got the resources to keep him alive, so we're going to choose to play Carlos so we can have the shield, which could potentially save Nash in the long run. So we've got a detonation and a shield in our pocket, which is great. And now we're just waiting to see what he does. And out comes Fate Defying Ryu, but we are fast. And we got that shield down on Nash before Fate Defying Ryu's effect kicks in that deals direct damage. So actually, this trade is going to work out in our favor. So I'm going to choose a detonation to get rid of this, because I want to be able to heart tank my Nash, because if you notice, he has Shinku Hadouken. So this is in range for Nash to die, and we want him to live. So now we're going to try and be fast. We're going to let this detonation resolve, and out comes the heart tank, and we are fast enough. So Nash is going to be living. But even though he's got Shinku, it's not really going to do him any good here. He's going to throw it out anyway, just to soften it up a little bit, but he's still going to have to invest a lot of resources to get rid of this Nash, and we're already ahead. We're in great shape, and we haven't even had to ramp all that much. So we're going to throw out some ramp anyway. We've got a Steel on deck, and out comes Dual Dragon Hado, which is fine. Nash is still going to live by 1, and Nash is actually going to close this out. Expect to run into Morrigan a lot. She is very popular right now. In fact, I would wager to say that she has the best deck in the game at the moment. So right away, this is going to be difficult, even though this is Darkness Illusion, which is the uncommon variant, Shadowblade being more popular right now. So we're going to throw out some ramp just so we can build up some MP, and we have some tools to get a little bit of Explore going, not a ton. So we throw out Leon Kennedy because we want to get these Explores fast, and then we actually draw another one. So out comes Big Ibuki. So you realize immediately that this is Big Resonate. This is the old school Season 1 style deck that is all about boosting up this Ibuki and keeping it living. So I try to do Mutual Destruction here since it has a shield, which is a lot of value to deal 5 damage. And then I'm actually going to choose to do a Noble Death here on this Leon, because that will get us an Explorer, and our ramp is still going to stick around, but that's going to be enough damage to get rid of that Ibuki. So already he's behind, because he just lost one of his main damage dealers, and he's going to have to play catch up. But we've got some ramp going. We're only 1 Explorer in, but we're going to be able to get these other 2 here pretty quickly, because we've got a Carlos in our hand, and we just got our second Explorer for the Agility Explorable. So now we're just kind of waiting. But since we've got so much MP, we're going to throw out this Fighting Spirit, because we're going to be exploring more. And now he is ultimately, if I'm in his head, if I'm him, I'm trying to draw into one of my big units and save up enough MP that I can boost it and protect it. Now you'll notice out comes the Ibuki, and he's got Darkness Illusion on deck. So I'm going to choose to activate an Agility guy here to potentially pop it. And out comes Brainwash, which is a little unexpected, but like I mentioned before, he was going to try to save up that MP. So I'm going to soften it up with a Noble Death here and try to deal some damage to this Ibuki, because it's going to be a problem if we don't deal with it in a meaningful way. So we've got Heart Tank on deck, looking for a decent spot to use it. So since that Ibuki is not flying, we're actually going to be able to throw something a little weaker down and block that. But out comes the Foresight for the Resonate boost. He's still got the Carlos, which will probably trade with my layer here shortly. And still, we're just waiting. So out comes Nash, who is boosted by 3 Explorables, and he is going to be able to effectively trade with this Ibuki at the end of the day. But we have Shield. So Shield comes out to potentially live, but he chooses to Hidden Intent to half his life down to 8 and still trade evenly. Or he's going to try to come over the top at this point. So out comes Jackpot. So now, inevitably, this is going to become a race, because that's no longer going to trade, which is unfortunate, but we're not out of this just yet, because the Morrigan is already very, very low. Now, Darkness Illusion is on deck. Now, at this point, we're looking to make use of Dimitri, because Dimitri has Rush. He automatically comes with a lot of health if you've been exploring. As you can see, he's got 4 attack and that Rush, and even though he throws Devil Trigger on that Ibuki, it's not enough, and at the end of the day, we win that race. Okay, something a little more unusual for this last one. Here's a Jill, and this is Genesis. Now, if you're not familiar, Genesis basically takes at least one of the cards that you've explored, a maximum of 2, throws them in your hand and reduces their cost by 1. Now, that can't go to 0. That's by design. So Genesis has potential, but in my opinion, not nearly as effective as Antibody Activation. So he throws out some early ramp, and we're going to do the same. We throw out a Lair, and we throw out a Leon Kennedy to get our Explore game going. And then out comes the beefier Clear Red Field. So we throw out another Explorable up top, and then he throws out Leon Kennedy. So this is essentially Explore versus Explore. Now I'm going to throw out Bishinryu Awakening to grab the Chimera Tech Armor. which is fantastic, especially at just a 1 cost, because there's a lot of value in that card, especially when you get a Nash on the board. So at this point, we are going to choose to use that Chimera Tech armor on our layer, our ramp unit, so it can effectively take care of this Iris and stick around for a little bit longer. So now he is going to use evasive action to reset layer, and there's not really anything we can do about it. So at this point, the best thing to do is to use Fighting Spirit, 2 free MP, to boost our unit at the top to clear this Leon with the shield. And if that unit dies, ultimately it's okay because we get another Chimera Tech armor. So the Iris dies, and then out comes the unit who gives you Herculean Strength. Forget its name, my apologies. And he attempts to use it on that unit itself, which we let go because we want to let our ramp hang around a little bit longer. We're going to throw out some more, put a layer in the middle lane. We've got Heart Tank on deck, but don't really have anything we really want to use it on just yet. Now he's activating Genesis, so he's going to get some explorables here straight to his EX pocket. He actually only gets 1 because he hadn't explored all that much up until this point. So another Herculean Strength going on that Claire up at the top to try to outlast, and it's got a lot of health, but that's really all it is. So now is the time that we drop Big Chun, and he's going to shield up to try to protect this Claire in the middle lane. I think that's a misplay, but so we ultimately let that go. Now Chun-Li's going to hit hard, and especially because we have Heart Tank, she's going to be sticking around for quite a bit of time. So we're going to do what we can to protect her while she does work, and we have another Chimera Tech armor. We are not going to use it on that layer in the middle, and out comes a Fighting Spirit to try to throw onto this unit on the bottom, whose name still escapes me, to try to shut down what this Chun-Li is doing. But it doesn't really matter because we're still going to win the trade. And Nash, we have 3 Explorers, so we throw him up top, and out comes the Lightning Bolt from him. But we have some great answers here. We choose to go with the Chimera Tech armor to keep this Chun-Li alive because she has agility and she's got combos. She's going to do a lot of damage. So his response is evasive action to turn this Nash back into his non-explored state, which is unfortunate. But what I'm going to choose to do here is I'm going to Mutual Destruction. Now, because the Mutual Destruction happens first, the Nash doesn't die. He gets his stats reset, but it ends up clearing the Claire from the top. So now we are in great shape. Chun is swinging for 8 damage a swing. She's swinging twice as fast. Nash is just kind of up there being a meat shield. And at this point, we win the race because Chun-Li is just so strong. And for good measure, we are going to choose to throw out Unleashed, which if you've explored 3 or more times, gives 2 more attack and flying just to seal the deal. We close that one out. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the X deck guide. Many of you guys have been asking me to do something with Megaman X for the past several weeks, and I wanted to come through for you guys. So I hope this was helpful to you. Yeah, the deck's not as good as some of the other ones, but it's fun to play, and at the end of the day, you should play things that are fun. Take care. I'll see you next time.